this is the best job in the world because I get to talk to the one and only Cedric the Entertainer. You're on the set of your show, The Neighborhood. Welcome. I'm so happy you finally made it with us.
Good morning, Tamron. All right, indeed a pleasure. You look fabulous, and the show's great, so I'm glad to be here.
Well, listen, I think that Megan Thee Stallion owes you commission because nobody was doing the before Cedric the Entertainer, right. So she owes you.
Yeah, you don't get the like, yeah, she's rocking it though. She deserves it. I like her
Well, let me tell you, I'm a TV junkie. I'm a kid. I can tell you my TV lineup pretty much my entire life, and I've comprised over the years a list of my favorite TV moments. One of my favorite of all time, 2012. Soul Train Music Awards, you hosted, and you came out and did a history of dance. It too remains one of my favorite moments. I could watch every time I'm sad and watch you bring the joy. You live up to this name. You are the entertainer.
I was getting it, man. I always loved to dance, since I was a kid. And, it's like when you have to do choreography, it's a little different than just being, at the house, rocking the Soul Train line. But, it was such an honor to do that. And so I've always loved to just kind of make people laugh, both dancing, singing a little bit, all of it. I always try to add it.
I always picture, I know that the original kings of comedy were the Rat Pack, if you will, of the time, but I always picture you as somebody who could have hung out with Sinatra and Dean and just rocking that world. Does it ever, because you do make us laugh and you do bring joy, does it ever get exhausting? Because it's kind of a responsibility. You are a preacher in some ways, bringing us the gospel of laugh.
Yeah, I mean, the idea of that, when people expect you to just always have it turned on. But, I love doing it, so when it's time to go on that stage and you hear your name called, it is a magic to being able to walk out there and try to just, evoke joy from people and try to get some laughter out of them, try to get them to forget about their own stresses. And that's where I think the responsibility of being, a stand-up it lies for sure.
Well, it's interesting you say it makes it more difficult because I know we're going to talk about your hit show, which you're on the set with right now. But Norman Lear, some of the icons of that type of comedy, people wonder, could Archie Bunker exist today? Could, Sherman Hemsley's famous character George Jefferson exist today? Because they did collide with pop culture and politics, and we still somehow walked away laughing.
Yeah, I mean, it is a unique responsibility. I feel like, especially for me, being on a platform as big as CBS, the opportunity of one to have a show that's a hit, and then to not just make you laugh, but to make you think, to try to evoke conversation between cultures and religions and races and people. So I think that is something we try to accomplish without being preachy. And that's the line that we do. We know that we're a sitcom, that we're here to make you laugh. But we also think it's very important to try to, talk about what's going on in real life.
You have to be so proud. Season 3.
Yeah, it's definitely a blessing. I mean, when starting the show from the very beginning, it was about gentrification. That was one of the big things that was going on in society, a few years back about, just this idea that our neighborhoods were being kind of, gentrified and people weren't able to live there anymore. And so we wanted to approach this as and thought it was a great subject to talk about blending of cultures and relations and what is it like to have to live next to somebody that, where you accustomed to doing it your way and things are your way. And so it allows us to talk about so many different things that's going on in society and, from many different perspectives. And so we laugh a lot. We got a great cast and great writers. And so we really appreciate, I'm really blessed to have this show.
I love that this is a blessing you didn't expect because you actually turned it down a couple of times before eventually agreeing to do the show. So those no's you were ready to put up turned into a yes, and look where it is now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and there were no's at the time for the right reasons.
Oh, of course. You just weren't walking around saying no, like my 18-month-old. They were for good reasons, but you found a way to find the yes you wanted.
You're right. You're right, and I think that that's something I definitely try to teach my kids. That same thing is a lot about having an idea of what it is you want to accomplish, and at the same time knowing that you will have to take some compromise, and but also really stick to your guns about what it is that you want to have on your agenda, the things that you want to accomplish. And so, and we were able to get there, and I'm really happy and proud of this show.
It's an awesome show. Now let's talk about this hat, because I've got to get to the fashion. Is it true that this was not your idea, that Sean Diddy Combs said, this is your lane, you should own the hat game? Is that true?
Yeah, well, I was like, at the time, like so many, stars and people come up, they want to do clothing lines or whatever. So I have a meeting with Puff, and I go and I'm like talking to him. He's like, do hats, man. You wear hats, do hats. It seemed so simple at the time. It was such a thing, like you overthinking it, and he just kind of explained how Sean John started with just the velour sweatsuit. It was it, as big as a company that it became. It started with just a simple velour sweatsuit and grew from there. So, you kind of like do what it is that you love.
Other than your granddaughter, do you let anybody touch your hat? Because I'm like that about my shoes. I'm like, wait a minute, these are my shoes. Do you let anybody touch your hats?
My wife, she started rocking hats like sometimes when she go out. So I had to kind of, I had to acquiesce and just let her get down. So my wife will just go in and grab a hat. And she'll be like, what you think, babe? And I'll be like, yeah, that's dope.
That's dope. Give me my hat. See, that's what 20 years of marriage gives you. It gives you the right to share his hat and whatever else comes with it.